Welcome to the Realm Kast. I am the Mortal Kombat fan Tim, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thanks, Phantom. I think we have a few guests today.
We do. We have the co-founder and owner of Mortal Kombat Online, CC Shadow. We got Scott, the co-founder and marketing director, and we also have Fatal Cade, who is the digital media manager for Mortal Kombat Online. Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, glad to be here.
Hey, thank you for having us.
So before we get started, we always ask our guests who are your favorite MK characters.
Well, I guess I'll start with this one. I am definitely a Johnny Cage guy through and through.
Nice.
This might surprise the two other guys here, but I've always been a Cyrax fan in the old classic games. Yeah.
And as for myself, firmly in the Noob Saibot or Smoke Camp, depending on the game.
All right.
So you guys all work for Mortal Kombat Online, but can you give us a little bit of background personally? How has Mortal Kombat affected you, and how did you kind of get into the game?
I mean, I can answer that. I mean, that's a great question. Give you guys a little bit of background. We're all pretty old. We're all in our 30s here. So, I mean, as far as going way back before MKO, we've all been MK fans in various degrees. I grew up playing really the home systems first. The first Mortal Kombat I ever had was Game Gear, of all things.
Really? That's a strange system to start with.
I know, right? So, yeah, my first fatality was on the Game Gear. I think it was Scorpion. But, so, I mean, I grew up pretty young age playing Mortal Kombat. I just, I like the lore of Mortal Kombat. I think just the ninjas and the kind of the story and the comics around Mortal Kombat kind of always intrigued me. And then as I got a little bit older, Christmases came up, birthdays came up. I started to get. I think my first real console version was a Super Nintendo for Mortal Kombat 1. I just fell in love with it. So, but from that love, I'm a computer techie guy, so I always dabbled into stuff like that. And eventually, I started making web pages for fun, and kind of MKO slowly progressed from that. But yeah.
Nice. How about you, Fatal Cade?
Well, I started on Mortal Kombat super early. So it came out in 92 in the arcades. And I think it might have been 92 or 93, but I was in a local Pizza Hut and I saw the arcade machine, right? And just had to play it. My mom didn't want me to play it because it was too violent. And dad obviously, listens to whatever mom says goes. But I told my dad I wanted a gumball from the gumball machine, so he gave me 2 quarters, and I kind of snuck over and played the arcade machine regardless. And ever since then, I've been just in love with the game. So that was a long time ago. I follow the games very, very closely. I discovered Scott and CC Shadow's website back when it was actually on the gamers.com message boards. It used to be a message board, if you remember, Scott. And then eventually it evolved to like mk5.org, and it went through a couple other iterations before that, but it was a really cool fan site. And that's kind of how I fell in with the Mortal Kombat Online community. And I've just been a hardcore fan of the games ever since. I just love playing these games. I love the lore, the characters, the history, definitely the fatalities. Everything about the game is just so much fun. And it's been a fun game to follow over the years and watch grow from those early stages. But yeah, it's been fun. A lot of friends were made going to a lot of these events, a lot of good people that I've met along the way, including you, Yanni, and Phantom. So definitely a lot of fun indeed. But just working with these two has just been a blast. So I'm a very blessed guy.
It's a great story and also very heartwarming. So
yeah.
And what about you, CC Shadow?
So if I recall correctly, my first Mortal Kombat game was Mortal Kombat 2 on the Genesis. I loved the lore as well, especially the secret characters, Smoke and Noob Saibot, as I mentioned earlier. And I actually started in the Mortal Kombat community side when I created, somewhat naively, this idea of a Mortal Kombat club on AOL back in the day called Ultra MK Club. And that quickly evolved into a website. I'm a software engineer by trade, so as you can imagine, that's kind of where all that began. And then from that point forward, grew from there. It's funny that Fatal K had mentioned the gamers.com forum, because when we launched version 5 of, at the time, mk5.org, that was the very first time that we had our own forum. But ever since then, all of the software that's been running mk5.org and Mortal Kombat Online and the new projects that we're working on have been custom written by me. And it's as much an outlet for working on fun engineering challenges as it is to, work on awesome things related to Mortal Kombat. So I get to combine two loves, software engineering and, Mortal Kombat as a game into, one cohesive whole and get to work on both of those things.
That's amazing.
That's great.
I want to chime into something Joey said too. One thing I've enjoyed over the years with MK5.org and MKO is we enjoy creating things, and mostly with Joey's help. I mean, without Joey, a lot of it wouldn't be possible. But, we always joke when we used to do like E3 events and coverages for the games back in the day, we always joke that we invented Twitter or microblogging because we would go to E3 and Joey wrote this really cool sidebar where we would have our flip phones and take pictures and video from the show floor. But, that's what we love to do. We love to create things for the community. And it definitely, that passion, I think, kind of falls into what we're doing with Fight Klub, once we get into that discussion.
Yeah, and I'm not joking when we say we likely essentially created Twitter pre-Twitter days because, as Scott mentioned, we would go to E3, and at the time we were, a bunch of kids who had our cell phones. The big boys and the big companies were walking around with literal backpacks full of cellular antennas. No joke, GameSpot would be walking around with a backpack with a cell antenna for AT&T and Singular and whatever they were at the time, because the signaling in the convention center in Los Angeles was just so bad. They would be able to get updates out in, minutes, and our updates would have to wait until at the end of the day, we'd all run back to our hotel rooms and then try to post our information before the other guys could post. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could send SMSs to the website and they would just show up in the sidebar? That's where Twitter came from. And that we did that a couple of years before.
Wow.
Sadly, we just used it for our own site. Imagine if we had, turned it into a general platform where we'd all be today.
Wow. Most of our fans are familiar with Mortal Kombat Online, but would you mind taking us through the history of it?
As I remember it, at least, we started back, founded almost 22 years ago, December 25th, Christmas Day, 1998. So long time. They might kind of age us a little bit, but it started off as MK5.org. We were going to be MK5.net, but as a young lad, I would go on the old news groups and blab about how we were making an MK site, and someone grabbed the domain from us.
Oh, no.
So, fun stories like that. But yeah, we were MK5.org from the beginning. Think about MK5. It was the game that came out after MK4, of course, but it was the first at-home exclusive version of MK, from arcades. So, MK4 was the arcades, MK5 was in your living room. So
you guys purchased that domain before there was an official title for Mortal Kombat 5, didn't you?
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was on assumption, right? I mean, it was always, it was MK3, MK4. Logically, MK5 would be next. But those short addresses, those were hard to get. And I noticed there was an MK4 website at the time, mk4.com, which was the official site. And I was like, dude, we got to grab one of these. And I'm not saying that had everything to do with our success, but it definitely helped because it came up easily on search engines and things of that nature. That name kind of helped get some initial traffic to us. And then we kind of just assembled a team, and slowly over time, we were able to kind of formulate a little bit of a relationship with Midway Games at the time. But I think we really started to hit it kind of 2002. I got an email from Midway Games, and they said they'd be willing to send a couple of us to E3 to cover the game. And there was a couple other fan sites around that time frame that were kind of doing the same thing. And I was the webmaster at the time, and I kind of figured if we don't get to this E3, we're not going to be around for long. So I couldn't go. I think I was maybe a junior in high school. I had exams. So I begged a couple of friends of mine to go that I met. One of them, was on your show, Tabmark99.
Yeah.
I hit him up, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then another colleague of ours who works on the website, Dark Bishop. But I think that first year, them doing E3 coverage started kind of a tradition. And correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, but I think we did E3 for at least 4, maybe 5 years back to back. So, but yeah, that's kind of what started it.
Something along those lines. We basically went to E3 every year until E3 decided to retool. And then it entered a new phase for a couple of years, and no one knew who was going to it. And then, kind of reset itself back to normal.
And through that, it just kind of exploded. We started on that gamers.com message board, so to speak, but we kind of coded our own user base around that idea. And it was just a great place for the community to come, discuss the game, collaborate, make friends. And the rest is history. But, we were successful to a point, and we were able to definitely have some exclusives. We were the first website to also have the first image of MK Deception. It was a Baraka render that was leaked to us. And then I think we also announced officially, which one was it? Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. A fan favorite for sure.
I was going to say, I love that you based the name on MK5. And obviously, yes, we did get MK5 after that. But if you had based it on MK8, Mortal Kombat 2011 kind of confirmed MK versus DC as 8 instead.
Yeah.
That would have been a hilarious sort of mistake.
Yeah, we definitely did end up, we changed our name, right, to Mortal Kombat Online. I think that was around the Deception or so time frame as we were starting to become more popular because obviously, we wanted to have a bigger encompass on what we were doing. But I'm still to this day surprised that no one else was calling their website Mortal Kombat Online. But I think if anybody was going to do it, it should have been us, and it was.
Yeah, if anybody's going to do it, you guys deserve it, I think.
I was using the website a lot during the 2000s. And I mean, I remember the site being very MK news and lore focused with like forums for discussions and everything. So I spent a lot of my time on it. So thank you guys.
Yeah, no, and thank you, for being a part of that history. We definitely appreciate it. After the kind of the mainstream games, I think we were really at our high level, probably MK Deadly Alliance through MK Armageddon. And then as life goes, we all kind of grew up a little bit. Some of us got married, some of us started families, some of us, started our professional careers. And we took a little bit of a seat back with some things, but as we've gotten older and more mature, we have some more time to do some cool things. That's kind of what got us back together, really, just in the last couple of years.
How about the sort of transition that the website has undergone? So it's actually gone through a number of iterations, actually, and the website is completely revamped at this point. It looks almost nothing like it used to. Do you want to tell our listeners about the website and how it's changed?
So when we originally started the website, it went through a number of layout changes pretty quickly. I don't know if you recall, but at the time between like MK4 and MK Deadly Alliance being announced was a little bit longer than we had traditionally expected from Mortal Kombat games. If I recall, like normally it was like a new game every year or two, but this was like a little longer. And so, or maybe it just feels that way.
It was 5 years.
Yeah, it was a long time. And so when we decided to launch MK5.org, at the time it was going to be MK5.net, there wasn't actually a lot of news. It was mostly just community discussing and kind of in circles like, oh, what's going to happen? Is it going to be fully in 3D? Is it not? Like, when's it going to be called? When's it going to come out? And so you can actually see some of these screenshots if you go into our site info section. We went through a number of different versions of the site. So versions 1, 2 were kind of like temporary versions. Version 3 was kind of the first quote unquote real site. It linked to gamers.com and kind of simulated its layout for the forum. Version 4 was an extension of that. And as I mentioned, version 5 was the very first time that we brought our community home into the site. And so what had happened was gamers.com was transitioning their forums, and we decided we wanted to do a new layout. And I had this idea of, well, it'd be great if all of the people spending time on quote unquote our forum were spending the time on, our site. So I sat down and wrote version 5 of the website in Perl, actually. The code is terrible at this point, but hey, I was 15 or whatever it was. That was the first time we had a forum on our site, and people could sign up, create a user account, and talk on the site. At that time we had one forum. There wasn't even any different forums. It was like the forum, like they're just threads. It was pretty simple and simplistic, but people loved it. So that was version 5. And then Deadly Alliance was announced and came out. We were looking to revamp the site for the post MK5 world. So one of the things we did obviously was change the name of the site from mk5.org to Mortal Kombat Online, to represent, we're going to be around for the future. But we also wanted to enhance the site as a whole. Now that we had multiple games that we were discussing, people wanted multiple forums, so I had to add that. People wanted, user icons and direct messaging and all these extra features that had previously just never been a thing that people wanted on the site. So we found this amazing artist, and he designed us the new version of the site, version 6, which is still one of my favorites. I recoded it based on V5, and we launched V6, which had, all these new features, including themes. We were one of the first websites that you could choose the color scheme you wanted, and it was tied to your user account. Mm-hmm. That was version 6 of the site. That's the one that had the dragon on the side. And that lasted us pretty well for I think it was about a year and a half. And at the time, the thinking was, in order to kind of stay hip and new, we should, revamp and redesign the site every year or two because people crave new experiences. Web technology was also getting a lot better at the time, although this was the days of Internet Explorer. Then we launched version 7 of the website, where we switched our default theme from red to blue, mostly just because I prefer blue. It wasn't really a conscious team decision. I just decided one day and like executive fiated, like, hey, we're going blue now. Version 7 of the site was the version that lasted about a decade. So after version 7 of the site came out, I wrote it when I was in my freshman year of college. I remember sitting in the dorm doing it. At that point, after that, we all got busy, as Scott mentioned, with family, with professional careers. I went off to start a company. And so it kind of, I don't want to say it kind of like grew stale, but it did. And the web moved on. Mobile became a thing where everyone was accessing the website on their phones. And a couple of summers ago, we'd seen, traffic had dropped off a lot due to changes in the community and the fact that the website just didn't really work all that well anymore. It was kind of creaky. And so finally, a bunch of us came together and we're like, okay, how would we build a new modern Mortal Kombat Online, one that, addresses all of the needs of today's community? And so that became the mythical V8. I mean, we had been teasing that, hey, we're working on version 8 for years, but we'd had a bunch of false starts. We'd started and then stop and started and stop. But we finally sat down and I remember laying out the project board for it and going, okay, there's 50 items on this. And the code had actually been written, as I said previously, in a language called Perl. And it was just not very good. But since then, I had become a professional software engineer, so I had a little bit more experience. So version 8 of the site, the version that's actually running right now, was a complete from the ground up rewrite of Mortal Kombat Online. Like, I sat down in summer of 2018, the very beginning of the summer, and I said, okay, I have until Christmas, which is when we usually launch new versions of the site on our anniversary. I said, I had 6 months or whatever. I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to do nothing at nights and weekends, but just rewrite this website. And we did. And that's actually the site version that we're running right now. With that came a new layout and all these new features that we launched, mobile support, the ability to watch threads, our real-time chat system, all the stuff that we have on the site right now. So it was a big project, but I got to give a shout out to the whole staff. They did a phenomenal job, and we launched it. And it was a little rough at the beginning, as with all new projects, but it's really come together, and it works really well now.
When you guys first started the site itself, did Midway have any kind of official relationship with you, or was there any kind of unofficial relationship there?
Not at the very beginning, no. But it just developed over time, little by little. It's funny, like in today's internet world, there's not that many fan sites, period. But I mean, the internet was so new back then in some ways, because think about it. We came out in 98. I think Google came out about that same year. And so we were getting a lot of traffic. So I think it was just one of those things where we were hard to ignore in some respects. I think meeting them in person helped solidify that relationship with Midway, because we met Ed Boon, the creator, some other team members, all together as a full team at the MK Deception launch party. But really from that moment, seeing everybody face to face and forming those relationships, I feel like in some ways we kind of became unofficially like their marketing wing in some way. We were very close with the guys who were heading up their marketing department at the time, and we did a lot of cool things like fight night chats and IRC and things like that. But I don't know, there wasn't like a special recipe. It was just, I think it was a gradual thing. We were taking a lot of traffic, probably from their own Midway forums and things like that. So, and I think the fact that we acted as professionally as we could at like age 18 years old, I think they just came to like us and appreciate us, and we just started working on more projects together.
I think that's kind of remarkable at how young each of you were when you were involved with Mortal Kombat Online. That goes to show how the site has kind of grown with each of you also. So, of course, Midway dissolved and kind of became what is now, the remnants of it is NetherRealm Studios. Do you guys still have any sort of relationship with Warner Brothers and NRS, or did that all kind of disappear with Midway?
I wouldn't say it disappeared. I just think it became less of a relationship. They're switching from Midway to NRS. It was kind of about that same time frame where we were, getting our professional jobs. I got married, started having kids and things like that. So it definitely hindered it, but not in a bad way. We were just kind of doing our own thing, and they were in this really tough transition period for them, kind of figure out where they were going to be at. So it just kind of happened naturally. We met some great people at WB through a few events that we've been to, but I think the strongest connection we've probably kept over the years is with the actual development team of the game. So like Ed Boon, Tobias, Vogel, people like that, we're well respected by that team. In recent years, we haven't collaborated as much, but we're hoping with projects coming up, Fight Klub and what have you, that, I think the goal is to work more with them in the future if that ever does present itself.
So forums have sort of, I guess, disappeared in a way since the introduction of social media with Twitter and even Discord nowadays. How is the activity on the website today?
So we've definitely seen a drop off in activity since the good old days where we would have, thousands of users online concurrently. Although I would say that about half of that is due to the changing web. So I think it's a combination of factors that have resulted in less engagement on, traditional forums as we saw them, back 10 years ago. But the combined engagement across all of the platforms, Discord, Twitch, Twitter, and forums and Reddit combined is orders of magnitude greater than, even back in the day, because, everyone has their phones in their pockets now. So I think you're going to see less engagement on specific platforms, but as a combined whole, your overall engagement can be much higher if you can leverage your audience to engage on all the different platforms, which is a hard task to be sure.
That's cool. So it's kind of expanded your reach while at the same time making your site more specialized.
Yes and no. Traditionally, a fan site was the place to go for specific information and discussion, because while you could go to somewhere like GameSpot.com or Gamers.com or one of those more generic websites, realistically, you're going to see news that you were particularly interested in was kind of lost in the shuffle, right, in the long feed, right? Fan sites served a very important niche. Today, it's a little different because you have Reddit, and then if you want news, Twitter's your place to go. And if you want live discussion, Discord's your place to go. And so everything's kind of become a little separated. And it, as just like a fan, it's actually kind of hard sometimes to know really where to go to look. And so one of the things that we've been concentrating on, changing the idea of what a fan site is. It's no longer the place to be. It is a place to find out where to go. So we have our Twitch shows that we run on Fridays and Saturdays, Fatal Friday and Survival Saturday. And these are phenomenal shows that people are highly engaged in. So one of the things we do is that when those shows are on, if you hit the website, a box appears that shows the live Twitch feed on the sidebar, right? So oh, there's a live show going on now. I can go watch that. So that's about giving everyone the place to go to find where all the discussion is going on, right? So it doesn't have to be in the forums. It could be in our Discord, but making sure that, those links exist and that those transitions exist so that people have a clear idea of like, oh, I want to talk about this or I want to learn more about that. Here's where I go to do it.
The site has made a somewhat recent change to being a lot more inclusive to the fighting games community, as you've said with the stream and everything, or being able to watch online, right? How has that inclusion of the fighting game community actually affected the activity of the website as well?
We've seen numbers growing, but it's also led us to put more focus onto the streaming shows and onto, of course, Fight Klub, which is, in our opinion, is kind of our major engagement with the fighting game community, right? It's going to, in my opinion, and I imagine the opinion of the rest of the MKO staff, it's going to fundamentally change how the FGC interacts with itself as a community, particularly in regards to Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat Online, the site, will be a central hub for that activity as a result.
From there, let's jump a little bit into the Fight Klub that you guys have made. Was this a direct response to kind of the fighting game community and activity that has been happening there?
I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest, right? We were a news site, primarily community driven. And it's very clear that the whole FGC movement is where it's at. It's where WB has their eyes on competitive gameplay. There wasn't much of that going on in our early heyday, right? I mean, you had some local competitions here and there. FGC is just something that we feel as a whole that we have to be able to kind of jump into. And to be honest and transparent too, it's a part of our community that we haven't put as much emphasis into prior to this Fight Klub project. It's something that we definitely have to kind of be a part of MKO if we want to be successful. So the whole Fight Klub project, a lot of it's probably a little bit of reaction to that, but in some point, we want to be able to provide tools for that community because, like I said earlier in the podcast, we enjoy creating things. We joked about how we made Twitter, we made discussion forums, and now we want to make a better way for the community to play Mortal Kombat. And we think we have the skills and the right people to do that. And so I think that's what really drives my passion because I'm not very good at Mortal Kombat. Let's just be clear. I'm more the lore guy, but there's a lot of people who want to play aggressively, competitively, and for money. And I think we can build the right tools to make that happen. And do it well.
So I've personally seen an early demo of the Fight Club, and I know Yanni has got to play it a bit. But kind of tell our listeners, what exactly is this Fight Club project?
Okay, so Fight Club is a system that allows you to challenge another player. They accept, and then both players stream their match. When they're done with their match, they stop streaming. And then, the system pulls that information, and it can tell you, after it pulls the information, it'll tell you who performed a flawless block, who won round one, who did a crushing blow, who did a fatal blow. Like, it can pull pretty intricate details and information, and it displays all of that after the match. And that data, that detail, also gets pulled over to other portions of the site. Something that the FGC has been very, very interested in, it's been a huge debate, is the character tier list. Who's the strongest character in Mortal Kombat? You'll see Sonic Fox go to this tier list maker and make a tier list of who he claims is the best. And then you'll see like Dragon make a tier list of who he thinks is the best. And then you'll see a bunch of other people who are very prominent, very top players make their own lists. And it's always different. Everyone always has their own opinion on who's the stronger character, who's the weakest character. It's always different, and it always changes with every update to the game, right? So that's kind of a problem for people who like to see that information, which is actually quite a lot of people. But with Fight Club, it pulls that information from every single match, and you can see a real-time tier list update on the system with who the actual strongest character is based on how many wins overall that character has. And on that system, you can also see, if you're like me and you like Johnny Cage, you can see who you have the best odds of beating. So let's say Johnny Cage wins most of the time against, let's just say Kano. It'll tell you, hey, you have a very strong chance of beating Kano players in this matchup. Or, you're playing RoboCop, you're going to have a really hard time winning this matchup. So it'll tell you all that information. You'll go into that with that knowledge. And then there's some even tips that we have listed on those character pages as well, that we have written by a great guy who knows his stuff in Steel FGC. So there's a lot of really cool information there that people can pull. And that's the kind of the data, the information that'll get pulled through that system. So hardcore players, I think, will absolutely love this. The other cool thing is all of the matches are going to be stored on your profile on the site. So you can see all the video matches that you've played up to a certain point. I think they go away after so many days, but it's going to stay there for quite some time. And it's absolutely a phenomenal way for people to share their experience with the game and to also see data from everybody as a whole pulled. We have a fun section that'll tell you how many crushing blows or fatalities or what have you were pulled by everybody as like a general whole, which is pretty fun. That is also on there. But it can pull all this information, and it can tell you very intricate things in very good detail, which is super awesome.
So just to kind of break down Fight Club, basically what you're saying is two people go online and they start streaming their fights, and you've developed a system that is pulling in basically everything that's happening while they're fighting and kind of ranking it out and putting it for display on your site.
Yes, it'll pull all the information. It'll tell you who's won the most matches. So we have like a real-time leaderboard. It'll tell you who the best player is on the Fight Club system. It'll tell you like our top 10 list of who the best players are. And then you can go into the character section. It'll tell you from first to last who the stronger characters are based on how many times those characters have won overall. So, and there's a lot of math that goes into that. And I'm sure CC Shadow can tell you all that because he developed it. But it's very accurate. It's incredibly accurate. And I think it's going to put the whole tier list debate to rest. I really do.
What makes this different from Kombat League?
Well, Kombat League's kind of a grind, right? So you're like,
It is.
Yeah. I think that's something we all agreed with. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of like having rewards at the end of Kombat League and some of the skins. And I mean, NetherRealm has done a phenomenal job with something different, with Kombat League. But this is a lot different. Kombat League, you're playing for skins. You're playing for in-game rewards mostly. People, at least in my experience, don't really care about trying to be number one. They just want to get to like the Elder God rank to get like the skin for that season, and unlock the rewards. With Fight Club, it's really about who's the best, like who is the best player. And I'm thinking that's what people are really going to be excited about. And with the data that's pulled, people can study opponents. They can even study their own gameplay. They can learn what they could maybe do better through that information. So they'll be able to actually grow. And what I really like about Fight Club is you can choose who you challenge, right? Like that's really cool. In Kombat League, it's always random. You're always stuck with somebody. They're going to pick like Scorpion and they're going to be on terrible Wi-Fi, and they're going to get hit with random teleports all game long. And it's just not really fun, With this system, you can choose who you want to play, when you want to play them. There's even a system built in when you challenge somebody to set the time that you want to play that person. And then they accept that, right? Which is much more friendly to both people involved. And I think that alone is going to eliminate a lot of the toxicity involved, because a lot of the rage that happens in Kombat League, in my opinion, is people are working and grinding and spending so many hours of their day trying to unlock these in-game rewards. And then they
just
get
for a costume.
yeah, and then they get pitted against somebody who has, terrible Wi-Fi. They lose, and then they lose like 150 points that they spent like the last hour getting. I think that's a lot of the toxicity with Kombat League. And I suspect with Fight Club, when people play that to legitimize their gameplay and to be, better players, I think that's going to take a lot of that anger and frustration out of the players. And my hope is that Fight Club makes people become better players and also builds relationships within the community and encourages people to actually learn from each other and build more friendships than toxic relationships that we're seeing right now on Kombat League. So I think this will be good for the community as a whole. I don't think it's going to replace Kombat League. I don't think that was the goal with this. I think it was to give people another alternative to take a break from Kombat League, but to also have something on the line to see how good they are, to see where they stack up maybe against a Sonic Fox or a Foxy Grandpa. If they're, going to use our system, they can see like, okay, well, I need to do this or this. Or let's say, there's a pro player that gets on Fight Club. You can study them. You can see what their tendencies are. You can be like, Foxy Grandpa is a flawless block god, so I've got to be very careful when I play this guy. Or maybe you'll see that Dragon likes to zone a lot. So you'll be able to get that information. You'll be able to pull all those videos from their profile, actually study them, which I think if the pro players get on board with this, I think that's going to make very fun matches for, the bigger events like Combo Breaker. So that's my hope, is that this is a learning tool as much as it is a competitive tool, and that it builds more relationships in the FGC.
In my mind, like Fight Club, yeah, it's definitely to complement Kombat League. But keep in mind, as far as the history of what we built here, like we started this before even Kombat League was announced. To be honest, like earlier prototypes, we were working with the MKX engine, and obviously, and I know that there's going to be comparisons to Kombat League, and so they're two different systems, but I think they both have interesting things to offer. I think ours is very unique, and I think the community is going to see that when it does get to beta and benefit from it.
You mentioned a few pro players. Have any of them actually gotten involved? Have you reached out to any of them?
Yes, we have 2 pro players that have tested it. They gave it rave reviews and they enjoyed it. I don't think they'll be very comfortable with us disclosing who they are. But they're very well known. One is an older pro player who's been in the scene, arguably a guy that helped really build the pro scene, somebody that I look up to a lot and I've been a fan of since the MK9 days. And then another gentleman has really done well in MK11 lately, and he's continued to just be a monster player, and he's one of the nicest guys in the FGC. And very, very good player. So both people are just excellent for the input that they've provided over the course of the early alpha stages of this build.
Besides the pro players, what has been the general reception of Fight Club so far?
They seem to love it. I mean, they love it. And we have some guys who just always are looking for matches on there, which is hard because it is the alpha. So it's very limited amount of players in there right now. So people are always looking for matches, and everyone's schedule kind of doesn't match up all the time. So it's a little tougher for them to find matches, but everybody at least from what me and Scott and CC Shadow have seen, is just like in love with the system. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from them. We've gotten some suggestions from them that have led to some really cool ideas. So yeah, so far, everyone seems to enjoy it a lot.
Now, you mentioned that obviously it's going to be great for helping with the tier lists and everything. And obviously, with accessing all this data, it's going to help with training and just player improvement, full stop. And one thing that I noticed I'd like to compare it to is in Kombat League, or maybe not even Kombat League specifically, but online on MK11, you can actually pull up a sort of stats page which shows you where, like, for example, how you opened your combos throughout the matches and stuff, or in your last match. So do you think that the data that you're providing takes that not just a step further, but even more?
Yeah, so it takes it a step differently. I wouldn't say a step more. So the data you're looking at is usually like match specific, or your most recent match. The data that we generally provide is aggregated across your entire set of played matches. So some of this information is certainly available in game, but we also aggregate it into new and interesting ways. So like one of the things we figure out like pretty quickly is like, you can just go to your own profile or anyone's profile and say, oh, they're the best against this character, they're the worst against this character. How is their health adjusting over time? And we do some interesting statistical analysis on that as well. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the game engine itself is always going to have more data than we do ourselves, right? So we can do some really interesting and fascinating things by inference. But at the end of the day, the game itself is always going to have more information than we do. So we are generally providing high-level summaries and then overall, league-wide information wherever possible, because that's the kind of information that we have access to.
Yanni, I know you got a chance to actually play this earlier and got a chance to play and demo out the environment. What was the process like for you and the experience?
Well, I guess Scott and I can go through this together. The way we started off was I obviously had to set up my profile on the website, and I would link that profile to for me, I play on PlayStation, so to my PlayStation account. I could also link that profile to, say, Discord, Reddit, and Twitch. Now, one question came up, which might be important for any of our listeners, is how does this affect your Twitch affiliate status?
Yeah, there's no danger of being an affiliate with Twitch when streaming on our platform. And one thing I'll make clear too, so this makes a little bit more sense. So you're streaming to Twitch, yes. When people say streaming to Twitch, you might think of like a guy on a program like our Fatal Fridays or something like that doing a show, but we mean streaming Twitch on the console itself, just to be clear. But when you guys stream, we're just pulling in the readily available Twitch API embeds that can pull into our website. So it's going to pick randomly whether it was Yanni's or myself into the Fight Klub layout, but it is the Twitch stream that is readily available. We don't rebroadcast that clip over a certain period of time. So like if you are a Twitch affiliate, and granted, Ryan probably knows the rules better than I do with Twitch affiliation, but I think it's like 24 hours or something like that. We're not going to rebroadcast that clip on Fight Klub until your clip is no longer on Twitch itself. So, we do download the clips for the analyzation and so forth. And so eventually your clip will drop off Twitch, right? So we do have a backup, but at that time, we're in the clear with all the Twitch terms and conditions and so forth.
One thing that concerns me, again, as a Twitch affiliate, is when you're streaming, you are trying to meet a certain quota with certain goals that the affiliate status or whatever next stage has for you. If you're just going to be streaming constantly while trying to play this, it could actually affect that. Have you guys thought about that at all?
Yeah, so from our perspective, if you want to, you can always link a secondary non-affiliate Twitch account just for playing on Fight Klub. And we don't have a problem with you doing that. And then you can, maintain your official affiliate and use it for, your playing officially or professionally, and then just use your side Twitch account just for your fun play, as it were. We hope that users will use just their single Twitch account, and that this will actually help drive traffic to their Twitch account. Because remember, as Scott mentioned earlier, we're linking directly to their Twitch account. So not only is there a new bubble that appears next to their MKO username on all forum posts, if you're linked to Twitch, it shows that. You can click it, it'll go right to their Twitch stream. We do similarly for their linked Xbox or PlayStation. So there's no more who are you on PlayStation, who are you on Xbox, who are you on Twitch. We not only show it, but we have verified it, right? So you can't claim to be someone else because you've literally authenticated with that service.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that all the Fight Club matches are embedding the Twitch view. So if they want to watch it full screen, they're clicking over to your Twitch channel. If they're watching it live, and as I said, we not only show links in Discord whenever a live stream starts, but we also, as we didn't mention, we show it on the website. So if there's a live Fight Club match going, a bar will pop up on the landing page, and we show, I think, up to 5 live Fight Club matches in real time. Anyone who wants to watch that clicks it, bam, they're at your Twitch. So we're hoping that this actually helps drive additional viewers and additional traffic to people's Twitch channels, because by virtue of playing a Fight Club match, you now get front page embed on our site. And that means free traffic, hopefully.
Right.
The analyzation process, is that pretty immediate?
Yes. The analyzation process typically takes, it depends on how long the match goes. If you do like a 1st to 5 and it's a pretty big match, it's a lot of data to analyze. It's going to take longer than a 1st to 2. But if you do like a 1st to 2, it's usually like 5 minutes, if that.
And you don't have to, to sit around and, look at the analyzer the whole time, though I would highly recommend it because it's just cool to watch. We put a lot of cool little text cues in there, what's going on, what it's analyzing. But you'll get a notification on your phone. So I don't know if we mentioned that, but there's a smartphone app, right? So you can do your Fight Club matches. And then if you need to go get your cup of coffee or do whatever, you're going to get a notification on your phone when that fight is analyzed. So you can run back to your computer and kind of, look at all the data.
That's cool.
I guess we can even go a few steps back just to take the actual listeners through it. After we go through the whole linking your profile and stuff, you would then look for somebody to challenge. So in my case, with Scott, one of us would challenge each other to say, what was it, a best of 2, a best of 3, best of 5, whatever, right? After that point, now, you could either receive the notification on the website or, as just mentioned, through the phone app. I've been told that the app is better. I've seen how it works. It looks great. I didn't install it myself, but it seems to really get the job done. And after you accept that, the site will actually tell you, or the app will tell you, which room on the game to head to. So, for example, you're going to head to one of the open rooms. What are they called? Acid baths, for example. And one important thing is it allows crossplay, right? So there's no issue in terms of challenging somebody on a different platform. That was great.
That's a huge thing right there, is that it does allow crossplay, especially because it took us so long to get that with Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
If I can chime to what you're saying there. I don't know if the app was like our intention when we were first started this to be the selling piece or not. Maybe Joe would disagree, but the app is wonderful because it takes that chain off from your console. Because think about how you have to play a friend today. Yeah, you can send friend invites through the systems, but number one, only per console. So only PlayStation to PlayStation can do it, Xbox to Xbox. But unless you're both sitting there, just happen to play Fortnite or whatever other game, you're not going to know that your friend wants to engage with you in a match at that present time. But with Fight Club, not only do you not have to worry about what system they're on, if I want to play Phantom, all I've got to do is pull up my phone. I send him a challenge for 5:30, and then he's either going to decline or accept it. But if he accepts it, we know at 5:30 we're going to play. It tells us what room to go to. He doesn't even have, if he's never met me before, had a conversation with me, it doesn't matter if I'm PlayStation or he's Xbox. We just jump in that crossplay room that we notify you guys to jump into, and you play. That is one thing that literally can't be done today when you want to challenge somebody.
That's so cool. I want to set my notification to be the Mortal Kombat kid screaming anytime I get a Fight Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, having experienced it's really, really good. I'm very impressed with it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
When you say it's cross-platform, do you mean it's just Xbox and PlayStation, or is it also doing Switch and PC?
Right now it's Xbox only and PlayStation. Switch, I just don't think there's really the audience for it now. I know there's a lot of love for PC, and I think it's fair to say, we've looked into it. I don't think that's something that'll be complete at launch of beta, but it might be possible to do it for PC down the road.
Is PC actually crossplay currently with MK officially at all?
Good question. No.
Correct.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
that must affect it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is not the main reason we do not yet support PC, but it is one of the considerations. It would be a little unfortunate if you were to try to challenge your friend and they were only on PC and the system was just like, well, sorry, we can't challenge you. You're on. Now, we are looking into supporting PC. and that would just be PC to PC players, their matches would still count on the leaderboard. They'd also get their own leaderboard.
That's cool.
In that scenario. So it is something we are actively, I wouldn't say working on, but it is in the active prototype phase. And so it is something that is being designed out right now. But as of this moment, it's not supported in the alpha.
Oh, I mean, just to, I guess, finish off with what we were saying, as we mentioned, after you have the fight and you end the stream, the site would analyze everything, as we said. And honestly, looking through how it analyzes everything, you can see counters, you can see punishes, you can see crushing blows, you can see everything on there, and it is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, right? And we're hoping, at least as a group, that these matches, the results that you can kind of pour through and study like this, we want Fight Klub to be your resume for Mortal Kombat.
That's cool.
That's kind of the goal with it. Yeah.
Your Fight Klub page now is your resume for what kind of player you are. And because of that, I could see a whole lot of new upcoming professional fighting game players coming out of this just by being members of Fight Klub, because you'll be able to look at their stats, see how they rank, and I could see them getting picked up and becoming professional players just from this platform alone.
Yeah, properly scouting them out.
Well, that's the struggle, right? When you're trying to be an esports player, right now in today's world, if you want to be an esports player, well, you're going to have to spend all this money to go to Combo Breaker or Evo, and then you got to pay all this travel money for a hotel, for a flight, and you might be one of the greatest players of all time at, Mortal Kombat 11, but you're not able to go to these events because you don't maybe have the finances to do that. And that's very expensive to do, right? But what's great about Fight Klub is all the matches are listed right there on your profile. So if you're an esports organization and you're looking for top tier talent, you can go on Fight Klub. You can see who's ranked the best or who's a high ranked player. You can literally view all of their matches. You can see their body of work. It's literally kind of like a LinkedIn page. So you no longer have to sort through like resumes people email you or any of that. It takes a lot of that back work out. If you're an esports org, you can literally go to their profile, see how good of a player they are, see how well they play the game, and then pick players up right off Fight Klub. And that's great for the orgs, and that's great for the players. And, no one's out a whole lot of money to try to go to a tournament and have to battle their first match, like say against Sonic Fox or whatever. You can actually see their matches and you can see how well they've done and see their knowledge of the game from the data that's pulled from each match too. So it's very intuitive and it's very easy for players to get picked up. I do suspect if there's enough players on the database that we'll see future esports players be picked right out of Fight Klub for sure.
Gosh, this is revolutionary. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
I imagine like someday in the future, you'll just be able to play at home by yourself, and then you have something like Fight Klub 3.0, which goes through and you just select two players and you can watch them. Like the computer will automatically battle them against each other, and you don't actually have to play that player.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, to have like an AI bot battle or something that learns your tendencies. Maybe years in the future from now we'll have some technology or something like that for that. But
that would actually be epic, because I'm sorry to cut you off, but one of the biggest issues with MK11 was, at the start at least, it was way too hard, to the point that the AI was unfair. I mean, we've seen it in, the initial games, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, but
Yanni, you just didn't play very well at the beginning. That's all that
was. No, but to see that they could actually possibly train the AI to actually play like a human would be something so cool.
It's one of those things where if NetherRealm ever actually wanted to partner with us, some of the data from the video, they could probably use that to make the AI play like the player. I mean, that's very possible if they teamed up with us and wanted to do something like that. I'm sure that could be a thing.
Has Warner Brothers or NRS shown any interest, like officially, in this?
I think we've heard through the grapevine that they're interested, but no one has approached us yet.
Okay, so no official feedback or anything like that so far?
To be fair, they haven't seen it.
Yeah, to be fair, they haven't seen it, but we have heard from people that are very connected that there is interest from people at WB and NRS in the system. They're kind of curious as to what it is. They really don't know what it is at this point. So I think when they hear your podcast, they're going to have a much better idea.
It's kind of funny. We're breaking the first rule of Fight Club just right here on the podcast. Because I mean,
we're talking about Fight Club.
We've kept this under wraps, for really almost 2 years, and so
Have you not reached out to them at all?
No. I don't think we have an interest to really reach out. If people are interested in what we're doing and want to talk to us on a business sense, I think they'll reach out to Scott or CC Shadow and, have those kind of discussions.
Kombat League seems to be universally hated by the community, both FGC and casual players, and I can admit to that feeling myself, and it seems that all of us here have really, similar thoughts on it. I know you said that you don't intend to, but could you see this replacing Kombat League? And if so, how would that work?
Especially for like Mortal Kombat 12 or something like that.
Yeah, if I could chime in, this is my opinion. I don't think it's going to replace Kombat League. I think it's going to give people another option. I don't think Kombat League would be bad if there were more options for people to play and do something else competitively as well. But I don't think this will replace that. I think this system as a whole has a chance to fundamentally change esports in general. And I can't really go into detail about what's in development, what's coming down the pipe for development, because there's a lot that is coming for this system. But once it's all done and it's all, completely out of beta and we have the whole package, one thing I do want to tell people is this can be done for any game. Really, it can be. We haven't game planned it for any other games. We don't have any plans yet to add any other games, but it could be done for any other game. You could use this system for Call of Duty. You could use this system for even iRacing. You could use this system for Fortnite. You could use this system for Super Smash Brothers, for Street Fighter, for Tekken. You could really, if we built it out that way, and added those games in, we could absolutely make this work for other games. So, I think
amazing.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this whole system could fundamentally change esports as a whole, especially with COVID-19 and how everything's going on and how events are a lot harder to run. Like you saw, I think it was Evo was trying to go completely online, but then they dealt with all these issues with, people DDoSing them and all this other stuff. Like, you would never have those issues in Fight Club because it's just a peer-to-peer match. And, our system picks up the individual match. So it would take a lot of those issues away that these people are doing when they're trying to host all these online events. So I can't go into a whole lot of detail, like I said, about what's coming down the pipeline. But when that stuff does come down the pipeline, it is going to fundamentally change. And I wouldn't say it's going to, but it has the potential, if the interest is there from bigger players to get involved with this, it has the potential to fundamentally change esports as a whole in a very, very big way.
That's super exciting to hear.
Yeah, again, having actually been through it and then hearing you guys tell us even more about it, I really do think that this could change everything, as you've just said. I'm excited to see more, and I'm sure our listeners are too. Are there any future additions to Fight Club that you're currently working on that you could possibly tease our audience with?
I can tease a few small things that we're currently looking into, if you guys are interested. So one thing that is in the prototype phase now is something we call Fight Club TV. And the idea is we are going to be running a Twitch channel where it runs through matches in Fight Club automatically in 24/7, 365. And it does so not just with playing the video, but it shows an overlay of who played. It shows a pre-match teaser where it shows, since we have the information, it shows, which characters on which arena, who's playing, what their rank was, and then a post-match results screen that shows, okay, this player had this many one fatal blow, but this many crushing blows, this many flawless blocks, things like that. And all of that is run automatically, right? So we basically just hook it up to a Twitch and it runs through matches over and over and picks new matches each time and shows them. So if you're just interested in like putting something on in the background and watching Mortal Kombat matches played by really awesome people, you can just put that on and, put it in the corner of your screen and enjoy it as like pretty much any other kind of TV channel. But this one dedicated obviously to Mortal Kombat. So that's one thing that we have working right now in a prototype fashion. And then the other thing is that I don't know if you noticed this during your playtest, but we actually have multiple concurrent seasons.
Yep.
Our seasons are actually scriptable. We'll always have like a general season that we run, like the general leaderboard, right? Anyone who plays their overall ranking gets put onto it. But we also have specific leaderboards. So, for example, we have a test one. So since Fatal Kid and Scott always like to play as Johnny Cage and Collector, respectively, we have a test season that we call right now called Cage the Beast, which in order for your match to apply to that season, both players have to be playing as either Johnny Cage or Collector.
Yep.
So right now, if you actually look at it on the alpha, right, they're the only two players on it because they're the only ones who've been meeting that criteria. But that allows us to do really fun things. Like we can have character specific seasons that we run. We had ideas of like maybe around Halloween, you only run, we run a special Halloween season that's like only Noob Saibot and, other remnants and things like that. Revenants. I said that wrong. We have that flexibility and we can start and stop these seasons kind of as we go along.
I love how you guys are incorporating your own personalities into Fight Club in a similar way that you did with Mortal Kombat Online, as it's been built out throughout the years. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah. Another cool thing that we can do too with that data is we could have a season of mercy, which is something that we joked about. So if there's a mercy performed in a match, then that match would go towards that leaderboard. So we can do all of that. We could have like a season of fatalities, a season of brutalities, or just for fun, we could have a 1-day season on April Fool's Day for a season of quitality. So I'll see who quit the most.
I do love the idea of that, actually. This seems like a natural transition for Mortal Kombat Online to go from what it was into Fight Club.
Yeah, I think from my understanding and our goal together is, Mortal Kombat Online isn't going to just turn into Fight Club. With the new version, Mortal Kombat Online as a whole is going to evolve, and Fight Club is just going to be a part of that. We're really trying, I think, to lose the title of fan site. We're trying to gain the title of platform.
Yes, I wouldn't necessarily use the term platform so much as community hub.
Yes,
is a better way.
That's a great way.
I want people who love Mortal Kombat, whether they're a casual player or an FGC player, to think when they want to go play, when they want to learn, when they want to grow, when they want to discuss, when they want to hang out. Mortal Kombat Online is the place to be. And Fight Club naturally, provides a very large portion of that story. But it's not just Fight Club, right? We have our Twitch shows, which we're hoping to grow and expand. We have, of course, our forums, which we hope will grow and expand. And like you'll notice, we have a general forum where you can discuss whatever you want, and that's just about being part of a community. You want to go discuss wrestling or NFL, be my guest. That's what the general forum is for. We have our Discord, which is going to be tied heavily into all of that. And the idea again is, we don't expect you to spend all of your time on our site. Our site is the gateway to cool and interesting things on a variety of platforms. So if anything, it's kind of a meta platform in that sense.
Yeah.
One thing about, as you said, in this day and age is that you're going to be using multiple platforms for different things. And it's cool if you can say, okay, you have Discord for this, you have, say, Facebook for that, you have Twitch for this. I like how you're managing to sort of keep everything on the site, but also link outwards. I think that's definitely great direction. But one thing that I've always loved about MKO was the fan art. Yeah. Just seeing that artists get featured and stuff, and you get to find some really cool pieces of art that you wouldn't see on other platforms.
Oh yeah,
or at least in one place.
I think actually on this current version, CC Shadows really retooled the art section, so it looks, in my opinion, even better than it's ever looked before. And I'm pretty sure he might retool that again in the upcoming V9.
So that's actually a good thing to mention. So version 9 of the site, which is the site version that includes Fight Club, one of the major retools is the creation section, which is the new name in V8 for our previous fan submission. So fan art, fan fiction, we support fan songs or fan audio. So we even have a couple of people on V8 who submitted their own audio songs, which is awesome. Really cool. We actually have the largest collection of Mortal Kombat fan art, I believe, of anywhere on the internet. And the creations are now also featured in V9 on people's profile. So you go to a user's profile, you'll see their amazing fan art right next to, their amazing clip of them playing.
That's amazing.
It's awesome too. There's also a feature called the calendar. Tabmock99 has really pushed for that, and he's worked with CC Shadow on that. And CC Shadow actually just kind of put together a little prototype of the calendar, and that's really cool. So it'll show you all the events that are happening that are Mortal Kombat related, like Galloping Ghost and Combat Con. So it'll tell you like where that's happening and info and what day. And it's kind of a cool thing that the site's going to add so people can see where these events are going to be and know in advance. And, they don't have to search the web for, let's say, Combat Con. They can just go to our site, see it, and then be linked to it, and boom, be taken there to maybe the sign up page or whatever. It's really cool how we're, like Joe said, trying to be a community hub here for everything Mortal Kombat, and that goes for events too. So we're all about supporting those events like Shang Tsung's Fight Night or Combat Con or whatever they call it. But that is cool. And there are a lot of casual fans that love to see the MK actors like Dan Pacina, Rich DeVizio, Philippon, and get a chance to meet those guys, because to a lot of Mortal Kombat fans, those guys are heroes to those people. So it's cool to see that, and cool to see those events and know when they're happening. So, and hopefully that'll work out well for places like Galloping Ghost, that they'll have another place where they can have their events listed and have a nice turnout for those things, because we definitely want to support those events for sure.
I should add, it's not actually a prototype. I finished it yesterday. So
Is it live now?
It's not live on the site. It's live on the alpha site for anyone who has access to the alpha system. One of the things Fatal Kid actually didn't mention that's actually pretty cool is you can subscribe to events, and then we can send out notifications if you've subscribed. But you can also choose, and you have to opt into this, but you can choose to opt into location-based notifications, and anyone who's within that radius will get a notification, again, if they opt in. And so this is another way of hoping to connect together the community.
That I could see how beneficial that would be, because I remember during Final Combat, there were times in Chicago where we were like, well, where is everybody else at right now?
Yeah.
And then we like, okay, well, let's just go down to Galloping Ghost and get some pizza.
Yeah, for sure. And, again, that's just another example of how we want to bring the community together. We want people to meet each other in person, hang out, have fun, make new friends, right? Because that's what's so special, at least to me, about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I started, streaming and just was solo. And then through Galloping Ghost had met Tabmach99 and became best friends with him, literally best friends. And then Tabmach introduced me to Scott, and Scott introduced me to, CC Shadow and the rest of the staff. And, it's built a friendship and a brotherhood with these guys that is very close. And I've met friends from around the globe because of Mortal Kombat. I'm friends with MK Dan out there in the Netherlands, friends with MK Jasper, friends with guys out there in Malta, friends with people in Korea. I mean, people that I, never would have met otherwise because of this game. And community events like Galloping Ghost are magical places where those friendships and relationships can happen. And, I think especially in this particular era, it's very, I think, important for people to have friendships and relationships with people right now. And this is a great opportunity. And I hope that Mortal Kombat Online is a great tool to bring those kind of friendships and people together without all the, toxicity that you see on Twitter right now. This is my hope is it's a good, healthy place to build good, healthy relationships and friendships with people that have the same thing in common with you, the love for Mortal Kombat and fighting games.
100% agree. I was saying the same thing when I was out there for Final Combat. I was like, experiencing this online and like being friends with all you guys online was one thing, but whenever you got to meet in person and everybody's kind of participating in this joy of this game, it was mind blowing. It was very encouraging because of the toxicity that's kind of exists online now. Being able to see it in person, it just reunified and kind of remade my love for Mortal Kombat just being there.
Yeah, that's what's so special about these events is it brings people together,
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I actually first met you, was at the Final Combat Phantom.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I still have your selfie in my phone. when you took that picture. Yeah, it's still there. Yep. It's those moments, that make those events fun. And it's just so cool. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully, people coming back to Mortal Kombat Online and building those friendships and that positive energy back in the community, and bringing the casual people in too, to have fun with everybody getting to meet everybody and being friends with everyone, and just having fun on Mortal Kombat again, because it's Mortal Kombat,
friendship
It's so sad that I'm never going to get to, well, at least until now, for the foreseeable future, attend these events. They sound like so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, you can meet up with Jasper. He's overseas with you, so
there you go.
We're going to have our own Final Kombat without you guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, one cool fun story is, we had met up with, it was Tabmock and me, and it's actually where I first met Total MK. And, you got those two together talking about Mortal Kombat lore, and then they wanted to go all through Chicago. And, we did this like crazy Mortal Kombat tour of all these cool things that happened in Chicago. And that was just so much fun. And those kind of things happen because of events like this, and it's so much fun. And I just hope that Mortal Kombat Online brings everybody together to have those kind of meaningful experiences.
And I feel like that's exactly what's happening here as well, to be honest. So
yeah,
great talking to everyone.
Fight Club's just going to add to that out of everything I've seen so far.
Absolutely.
You went to Final Kombat with intentions of showcasing it there to the fighting game community during that time.
Yeah, so that's funny. Scott and I went, and it was one of the only times where, CC Shadow was like, hey, you guys can show it. You can show a live demo. You can go for it. Knock yourselves out, which, like he never says. And so Scott and I were like super excited. And we had talked to Thalion and everybody, and before that, actually, we had shown you guys a live walkthrough of it, and I think at that stage it was pretty basic, kind of like very bare bones, and everybody kind of got excited about it. And then Scott and I had shown it to Doc Mack at Galloping Ghost, and Doc kind of got excited about it, but I'm not sure Doc could really wrap his head around what this was or had the potential to be, or what our future plans were, because we were really careful about like talking about anything coming down the pipeline. We really wanted to keep all that hush hush, but we had plans to show it after the Galloping Ghost LCQ tournament that they had kind of thrown together with the cancellation of Final Kombat.
For those who don't know, Final Kombat got canceled basically the day we all arrived.
Yeah, it got canceled while Scott was on his way here.
Ryan called me on the phone. I'm driving to Chicago, and I got the news. Oh, it was bad.
I called Scott. I was like, is this really happening? Because it was actually Tabmock99 who texted me, and he's like, they just canceled it. I was like, what? So I'm looking it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I call Scott like while I'm still at work, and I was like, yeah, they just canceled the event. Scott's like, I'm already almost to your place, man. I'm like, I know. Just keep coming, and we'll go on Twitter, and we'll try to get everybody to go to Galloping Ghost. And I went on Twitter, and I spammed everybody on Twitter like, hey, keep coming to Chicago, go to Galloping Ghost and have a good time, and everybody can still hang out. And then Galloping Ghost, kind of built into a big thing, and Galloping Ghost threw together their own kind of a last chance qualifier event, which was really fun. And a lot of people were there. A lot of big names were there. And so we had this whole game plan that after the tournament, we're going to do like a kind of a walkthrough and show everybody the system working. And it was funny because we were there and nobody really knew who we were, which was kind of funny. And it shows that age gap because, I'm an old fogey, so I know who Scott and CC Shadow are. They're like legends to me. I grew up on their site. So, but it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are wearing, because Scott had gotten us these cool Fight Club jerseys that we wore.
Yeah, that's right.
And even Rich DeVizio was doing like an Instagram live or something and saw me, and Rich is like, hey, Ryan, and caught me on the spot, and put me on the spot. It was so much fun. Seeing Rich and everybody there too. We had a good time, and we were all excited about it. We were working with Thalion to try to get the audience there to kind of do everything. And Thalion he's such a busy guy. He's such a hard worker. I think he got tied up with like Uncaged Games, who I actually finally got to meet in person. He's a fantastic guy. And him and Uncaged were on the other Galloping Ghost building. And so we kind of just lost kind of communication in that. And by the time the tournament was over, everybody had already kind of segregated over to the other building. So we were just like, okay, well, let's just hold off on it for now. And Thalion kind of agreed with us. He's like, yeah, hold on to it for now. And we did. And I think that actually worked out in our favor. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to show you guys and show Mike from the book and kind of give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough and just kind of see your reactions from all of it. Because at that stage, it was so bare bones. I don't think really anybody understood still like what this thing is and what the potential is and what we really wanted to do. And since we couldn't really talk about the future at that time, we didn't really have much fleshed out.
Yeah, and seeing it, kind of from there to what it is now. I mean, even though right now it's still just in the alpha phase, the growth on it's been awesome because back then you guys hadn't even released it yet as something that people could try.
Oh, back then it was so hush hush. We just didn't even talk about it. Like, we were just very quiet on the marketing. We were actually afraid when we had the video done to maybe near the end there, they even said too much, at the end of that promo video, but nobody could see what it was that the announcer was discussing there at the end of the video. So, Adam Ronan put that together for us, by the way. He's a fantastic video producer and we hired him to do that. And he did a knockout job, but nobody really understood what Adam was, I think, saying at the end.
What was he saying on that?
He was talking about the Fight Club seasons and he was talking about how it could pull all the data. And at first, when he first said that, we were all kind of like, maybe that's a little too much. But then we're like, we'll leave it in. And no one really picked it up. No one really asked any questions about it, which was kind of surprising. But it's one thing to hear it and it's another thing to see it, right? Like to actually see the product working. It's so funny because a lot of people are listening to this podcast and they're probably like, I wonder what that actually looks like. And then when they actually see it, I think that's when the real excitement's going to kick in because they're going to realize this is a working thing and it looks really polished and really pretty, and it's just very well organized.
Do you guys have a demo reel up available for people to watch it? Kind of like you showed us in Chicago?
Yeah. So Scott and I kind of put together a couple demos for that. I don't think we put a demo together since then, but yeah, I have footage of it running and working, on the site, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Like hearing about it and seeing it are two different things, and then of course playing it's
really different things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole new experience, I imagine.
Yeah. The same thing for Fight Club TV, because I don't think we showed you guys. I don't think Fight Club TV was actually a thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So it's fun to hear about Fight Club TV, but it's really cool to see it because it's like an ESPN style setup, right? Like, I think that's kind of the visual we were going for with it. And it's just so cool and kind of fun to watch. We wanted something that's appealing that users would actually want to sit down and watch. We didn't want to just throw something together and say, oh, here's all the matches on Twitch, go enjoy.
Yeah.
No, we wanted something that had a visual aesthetic that was very pleasing, and we wanted it to be very pleasing to watch, when you're not playing a match as well. Not just so you can see your own matches, right, happen on there, but also to watch other people and see it and just kind of be like, wow, this is kind of cool, So that's a lot of fun. And speaking of the visual, because I did a lot of the visual stuff with it, it's cool because we went through so many different iterations of so many different stuff. I hope that this takes off and somewhere down the line, like 10 or 11 years, people are like, oh, can you guys show us like the early visual graphics of what things were originally going to look like? Because I have it all. And it is pretty cool. Some of the directions that we were going to go with for visual. We kind of had this like cool 3D scoreboard that kind of popped up. And then, I spent all the time in the world on it. And then I show it to CC Shadow and he's like, it's too complicated. It's too much.
No, I didn't say it was too complicated or too much. I said I wanted it to be streamlined and smooth. That's what I said.
He wanted more. He wanted more of the flat graphics, right? More of the flat imagery, and I kind of went 3D, and so it was fun, and then I'd put something together, and then Joey would be like, no, change this or change that, and so I'd go in and I'd make tweaks. But it really was fun at the time to do that. And then when you finally have the finished product and CC Shadow signs off with his signature of approval, which actually personally means a lot to me, and then you see him actually work his crazy
implement
magic. Yeah. I mean, it's really beautiful to see it all come together. It's really awesome. So there were a lot of different aesthetics that the Fight Club TV had went through in and of itself. So, yeah, I mean, maybe someday people will want to see all the directions that I was mentally going to go with it. And then, they can see the final product. And I think they'll appreciate the final product that much more because it's so well done, in my personal opinion, not just because I worked on it, but just to see how, CC Shadow implemented all the details, all the information. He did some of his own animations on there, too. So it's really cool to see it.
So where exactly can our listeners find out more about Fight Club and possibly sign up for it?
So right now, we currently are in the final stages of, I guess, what we're calling the alpha. We've been kind of in this alpha phase for probably a few months. It's been going really well. We probably have about 30 odd people testing the system here and there. We're pretty close to the beta at this point, we believe. We're still, to be honest, by the time this episode airs, we could still probably use a handful of more alpha testers to kind of just get everything buttoned up nicely for the beta. So I don't know if you guys can maybe include a link, maybe in the show notes or something. I'll have a Google form link I can give you folks.
Sure.
But so the alpha is more internal, where we're kind of selective on who gets into that. But the goal here, towards the end of the year is the beta, right? So the beta, if anybody has interest in signing up for that, you can go to, I guess the easiest way to get there is Fight Klub with a K, .gg. It has one of our videos we made last year about the program. It has a little bit of some screenshots from the project, actually. So if people want to check that out. But I definitely encourage people to sign up for the beta. When we reach beta, obviously the floodgates will be opened up quite a bit, not entirely, and we're still kind of working through what that's going to look like internally. There's a lot that has to kind of go in the back end to make sure that's a smooth transition. But what's really important is when Fight Klub goes live, everybody can see it. I mean, the beta, that is. Everybody can see the beta. There might be certain times you can get in or not get in to actually register for it, but it will be our first major showcase of people watching other people play. And as different checks go successfully, as we onboard more people into the beta, we'll go from there and eventually open it up in full. But yeah, fightklub.gg if you want to sign up for the beta.
We'll be leaving links in the description. Before we let you go, we'd love to know each of your favorite finishing moves.
Oh, absolutely. I can go right into this one. Even though I am a Johnny Cage guy, got to tell you, I love Kung Lao's hat split from Mortal Kombat 2. It's my favorite all time.
With the ribs sticking out.
Yeah.
I got to go with the classic Dragon, Mortal Kombat 1, Liu Kang, for sure.
Nice.
Yep.
For the original 2D games, it's definitely going to be Smoke blowing up the world. So that's just the ultimate way to go out. Just all right, I'm taking all of y'all with me. And then from the modern one, and I know this is going to be highly cliche, but seeing as somebody who's put on the video, the 10-hour video in the background and just listened to it for 30 minutes, it's absolutely Jax's Friendship recently. It's just such a catchy tune. And so it's funny, when I'm working on Fight Club code, I'll put that song on in the background. And I'm just yeah, this is fun.
I think NRS have an official 1-hour clip of that, and it's probably the best thing they've uploaded.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
So, of course, our listeners can find you guys on mortalkombatonline.com. But besides that, where else can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can also find us on Twitter. That's where we're really engaged at. It's MK_online. If you want to find us there. We're also on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/Mortal Kombat Online. All squished together. And then we're also on Twitch. I'll let Ryan kind of give some information on what we're doing there.
On Twitch, we are twitch.com/Mortal_Kombat_online. We run 2 shows currently, Fatal Friday and Survival Saturday. Survival Saturday started out as my show, became my baby, and then I just got very busy. And I've handed that over to somebody who's very talented named Survive Combatants, who's really taken the basics of that show, the foundation of it, and turned it on its head and really made it something special. He does his shows. Both our shows air on Friday and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. Fatal Friday is more of a community competition, King of the Hill, where whoever has the biggest streak in the 2-hour stream period is the winner. And Survival Saturday, obviously, is a Survivor King of the Hill with the same concept. Whoever has the biggest streak wins. Of course, with Survival Saturday and a Survivor King of the Hill, your health carries over into the next match. So it kind of builds that hype even more. But for people who like both those things, it's they're two shows that really challenge people to have fun with each other, get better, and just compete on a fun level. We are going to be introducing some very cool news in the very near future. I believe Survive Combat's working with TQT, who is kind of a master of the memes on Twitter, to do some cool stuff with Survival Saturday. And recently, Survive Combatants actually got some fun announcer voice clips from Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam. So there's some fun stuff that he's thrown in with that. And Tim, and I know Tim had a great time doing that. So it's awesome to have the legendary voice of Mr. Boom Shakalaka himself on there. And I've met Tim in person. He's a fantastic guy. But yeah, it's just something that'll make, the old school arcade fans kind of just smile when they hear it. But we are going to be announcing some news together, me and Survived. Once Survived gets done with his current season of Survival Saturday, we're going to actually have a real prize for people at the end of every season of each show that they can have. And it's going to be something that a lot of players will like. It's a monetary thing, and I'm just excited to announce that with Survived, once we kind of game plan out how we're going to market that in the very near future. We're also working on a show whenever me and Tabmock99 can finally have our schedules match. Me and Tabmock are going to be working on a show for Tabmock on our channel called Throwback Thursday, which will be more of a live kind of podcast broadcast where he's going to interview some special guests. We've had some interest from people to appear on that for him. So very excited. We will be doing something down the road with Insert Coin and Josh Sway. So we're still working out all those details, but it's very exciting. And there's a lot that's just coming to the Twitch channel alone. And me being in charge of all of our Twitch stuff, I'm just super excited for all of that to happen. But I think right now our main focus is Fight Klub, is getting the alpha ready. And then you'll see a bunch of other really neat things kind of come into play after that as well with our Twitch channel. There's just a lot that's going to happen, a lot that's going to continue to grow for both of those shows, and then Throwback Thursday once we add that into the mix as well.
Hey, real quick too, I just thought of something we didn't mention earlier. Keep an eye on Mortal Kombat subreddit. We formed a really great relationship with them over the last couple of years. Thalion, who runs the subreddit, we will be kind of integrating Fight Klub into this actual subreddit, which is going to be really cool. So you'll be able to kind of see your ranking of where you are in Fight Klub on the site. So I just want to give a quick shout out to them. They've been a really big help and partner with us in this, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. So
yeah, there's going to, speaking of integration, I don't know, and CC Shadow, feel free to jump in and stop me if I'm not allowed to talk about this. But there's some really cool integration with Fight Klub off site as well. We have Discord integration. Since we know a lot of people love Discord, Fight Klub is going to be almost fully functional on Discord as well. So there's going to be a lot of Discord features.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that earlier. So we have a Discord, which was the evolution of the Mortal Kombat IRC channel. If you don't know where all these links are, they're on the top left corner of the site. So if you go to mortalkombatonline.com, there's links to all the social systems at the top. But in addition to the mobile app, there's very tight integration with Discord. So we have a bot, which is right now is actually in our Discord alpha channel. It's a Cyber Smoke right now, LK7T2, although we'll be using a different one for the real site for the beta. And that bot will do all sorts of really cool things. Like you can, for example, go into the Discord channel and say, I want to, first to two, ? Enter. And you'll get entered into a challenge pool. And then if anyone else jumps into the channel and it's like, yeah, I want to play, they can just type in let's play and hit enter, and it will auto challenge the two players. You don't even need to, go onto the site and choose their username or any of that. There's statistics that you can pick up in the Discord. So you can do a matchup. So you can do like matchup between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and it will show you all the statistics and it will tell you who is estimatedly likely to win that matchup. You can also do a matchup between players. So you can say, I want to see, who's likely to win between Fatal Kade and Scott. And it'll say Fatal Kade is obviously going to win. And that's true based on the data that I saw as of this afternoon.
Obviously.
Yeah, gotta mention it every time. But the idea here is that, if you're in the Discord, once the beta starts, in addition, instead of all of this information flowing in a private channel that we're using for the alpha right now, it will flow in the real Discord. So even if you're just in there and you're hanging out and you want to see, and you're just having a conversation, Every challenge that is accepted goes into the Discord. Every match, as soon as it starts streaming, a bot posts in the Discord, hey, Fight Club match has started streaming. So if you want to watch it live, you just click the link and you're right onto the Fight Club view with the embedded Twitch. And as soon as the match analyzes and it's completed, the results are in Discord. So if you're in Discord, Discord essentially becomes the stream of Fight Club. And you can even also ask, the bot's question. You can challenge other players. You can compare players and characters. All that's available in Discord. So, it's going to be kind of like a central hub for the live view of Fight Club, in addition to, of course, the website.
The extensiveness of Fight Club is so huge and it's so grand. So I definitely encourage all of our listeners to check this out. When exactly are they able to see it? When is the beta going to be released?
That is an open question right now. So the general rule that I've been saying is the beta will be launched 2 weeks after I feel it's ready. So
summer of 2023.
No. So we are, please God, no. We are hoping to move from alpha to the closed beta within the next 2 months. And at the latest to have it be at least fully visible, if not just, restricted to a subset of players by our anniversary of Christmas. I don't want to say that that's certain, because if we run into a problem that we hadn't anticipated, of course, we want to do it right. We don't want to do it fast. But so far, knock on wood, assuming that 2020 doesn't throw any additional curveballs at us all, and given the state of this year, that very well could be the case. Our hope is within a month or two, it will be visible on the site, and play will be restricted, of course, to a subset of the closed beta players. But at least everyone will be able to interact and start offering suggestions, and then we'll be able to onboard more people as time goes on.
So I definitely encourage everybody to check out fightclub.gg and take a look at everything that Mortal Kombat Online has been working on. Thank you again to all of our listeners for stopping by the Realm Kast today. And thank you very much, CC Shadow, Scott, and Fatal Cade of Mortal Kombat Online for joining us on this episode. It was a pleasure to have all three of you join us and discuss this with you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, blast.
Absolutely appreciate it.
You can find Yanni and myself, Phantom, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yanni on the Mortal Kombat meme realm. Special thanks to our friends at Uppercut Editions, who are creating the Mortal Kombat Kompendium, for the continued support. You can follow them at Encyclopedia MK on Twitter and the Mortal Kombat Encyclopedia Project on Facebook. You can catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, and Spotify.
I won't fight him. Cut this shit. You'll kill us whether we fight or not.
Nah, you called me, love. But put on a good show, eh? It'll be less painful.